What's going on, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar, and you all know I like my omnis like I like my women. Thick, and boy, we're talking about a thick one today. Join me for my overview of the Deathstroke by Christopher Priest Omnibus from DC Comics. Welcome back, everybody. So, what we're looking at here is the Deathstroke by Christopher Priest Omnibus. And yes, I meant what I said at the beginning. Well, yes, but beside the I like my omnis like I like my women. By the way, that's a t-shirt on our spread shop. You should check out our spread shop. But anyway, no, that this is a thick book. We are talking 1,392 pages of Christopher Priest writing the character of Slade Wilson. So the book retails for $150. Now, I love the character of Deathstroke. Visually, he was one of my favorite characters growing up. I thought he looked awesome. I remember the first time that I saw him, I read some issues of my friends, the Judas Contract, which is to a lot of people, the biggest New Teen Titans story arc. But I remember seeing his costume and I was like, that guy looks like a complete badass. And then when he unmasked himself, I was so disappointed because it was this old man with an eye patch, and I thought, that's kind of lame. Old people can't be cool. Boy, was I wrong, because we are cool. Now that I'm older, I realize how stupid of a statement that was. But when I say I love Deathstroke, I mean I love Deathstroke. So much so that I paid way too much money for these custom-bound omnis I found on eBay a few years ago. And probably too much money on this out-of-print now New 52 Omnibus, which isn't even that good. But I really like the character, and there's not a lot of his stories collected in collected editions. There's some trade paperbacks of the classic Marv Wolfman stuff, but not really a lot, considering how popular this villain was for a lot of us growing up. But let's keep talking about this book. We'll talk about the story here in a few, and then look at the binding. Let's look under the dust jacket first. We do have a Dave Johnson cover here, and I could have sworn when I saw this cover, it was Scott McDaniel, who also did a kick-ass Deathstroke in the pages of Nightwing. But we do have this awesome image of his face that is separated by the spine right there. Now, let's get the book open and talk about the stories in here. So let's get this opened here. We have some black bookend pages. Deathstroke by Christopher Priest Omnibus. Very first time we see his name on an omnibus. I was hoping it was going to be Black Panther, but hey, who knows? One day. Here are all the credits. Of course, Christopher Priest writing every single issue of the Deathstroke series that's collected in this omnibus. And then you have Benjamin Percy, Dan Abnett, and Adam Glass writing the Teen Titans and Titans story arc that are collected in here as part of the Lazarus Contract story. Oh, and there's also the Who Are You story arc in here. But your main penciler is right here, Carlo Paculayan and Larry Hama. And I'm going to talk about the beauty of this omnibus and why I enjoyed it so much. But you also have Fernando Pasarin, Joe Bennett. You also have Kerry Nord, who is one of my favorite underrated artists, and his art has just evolved over the years. You have this introduction here. It's a 2-page introduction by Christopher Priest, talking about the complexity of Slade Wilson. And kicking it off with Rebirth. That's what this omnibus collects. It's the Rebirth era of Deathstroke. So this collects the Rebirth #1 issue, and then Deathstroke 1 through 50. Annual #1, the DC Holiday Special 2017, Titans #11, Teen Titans #8, 28 through 30, and Titans the Lazarus Contract Special #1. So I remember when the solicits came out that it said that this collected Teen Titans 8 through 30, and there was no way in hell that this well, I don't know. Who knows? We may have an omnibus that big one day, but it's not that crazy. So here we are with Christopher Priest taking over the book. This is after the New 52, and honestly, the New 52 era of Deathstroke it wasn't for me. It wasn't that good. He was not as tactical of a character as he was. He wasn't as complex as he used to be. Because the thing about Deathstroke, which is crazy, is that we forget he's a villain. And this book Christopher Priest takes that formula and puts a spin on it. So we still focus on the character of Slade Wilson, his relationship with his ex-wife, his relationship with his two sons, his relationship with his daughter, and then eventually characters like Power Girl that show up in here, the new Power Girl, not the classic boob window Power Girl. But it's interesting because you forget, and that's the beauty of Slade Wilson. Well, both the beauty and the tragedy of Slade Wilson is that you forget that he is a freaking ass. Like, he is a murderer. He is a villain. He has done a lot of sleazy stuff. Yeah, I am talking about the Judas contract. Because that actually gets touched upon here, because that's a weird subject, right? Like, a lot of writers kind of avoid that era of Teen Titans, but it's such a big, popular storyline, how he seduced this teenage girl. But then again, you know, the retcons have shown that, well, maybe she was just posing as a teenager. Doesn't matter. He was still a sleazebag for doing things like that. And he's still using those kind of things and manipulating people and able to change their mind and able to work for him and turn against others. He is a damn complex character. He's a beast. So it's in the way that The Sopranos is done, in the way that Breaking Bad is done, or Sons of Anarchy, shows like that, you end up cheering for the villain. Before you realize it, Christopher Priest reminds you, oh, this guy's a piece of garbage. What are you doing? Why were you cheering for him to begin with? Why were you hoping that he made it out alive? Why were you hoping he wins when you're realizing he's fighting a superhero or a good guy? And that's what I enjoyed about this book. It's probably, you can tell here that there are covers. There are covers. Of course, there's damn covers. But you have a cover in the front, and then on the opposite page is the variant cover. Most of the variant covers are supplied by Shane Davis, which are kick-ass. There are issues in here that are drawn by Dennis Cohen, inked by Bill Sienkiewicz, and the breakdowns are done by Larry Hama, and the writing is done by Christopher Priest. I will find one just to kind of highlight it, what I mean when, like, all these masters get together. There is some retcon in here, which isn't a big deal if this is the first time you're picking up a Deathstroke book. None of that none of that matters to you, because you really don't know about his previous history with his kids, whether it's Ravager or Jericho. And then we do get some new outfits. It is crazy how many different outfits there are in this particular omnibus. We go back to the classic outfits too. There's this story arc called the Defiance story arc, speaking of new outfits, that I thought was kind of, I don't know, not out of character. I get why it happened, but it's just not one of my favorite parts of the omnibus. There's the Red Lion right there, which a lot of people thought, hey, it's Christopher Priest writing Black Panther again. You can't fool us. Yeah, I mean, visually he looks just like T'Challa. But let's keep going here. Again, like I mentioned, the covers. You have a main cover, and then the variant cover. All the crossovers in here, like the Lazarus contract. Yeah, there's the Defiance story arc I was talking about. But like I was saying, the Lazarus contract and then Who Are You story arc is here. But, oh, that's right. This is the Deathstroke versus Batman. Now, this is one of the few story arcs that's been available in oversized hardcover format before. I think there was a deluxe edition that came out with this particular story. And there's there was some hate towards this story from people. Basically, there was a big retcon that he was trying to do, but you know what? I'll just let you figure it out for yourself. I understand why people were pissed, but then again, people get pissed as soon as a storyline breaks out. Come on. Anybody remember Hell Hydra? And then when it was all undone, people were like, oh, right. That escalated quickly. Yeah, kind of like that. People were just jumping the gun because something was said, and people were like, that's impossible. That doesn't even make any sense. Why would there be a... Anyway, you can figure it out for yourself. I'm here showcasing the artwork. This is the Arkham story arc, where he breaks out of prison, and a bunch of other villains break out with him. And I'm trying... This is the Who Are You story arc with Bernard Chang on art. This is the crossover with the Teen Titans. And again, to remind you all, this all takes place in the Rebirth era of DC Comics. So some things have been retconned, and some things they're keeping the same. Like, for example, the whole Judas contract is still part of his story. His son losing to the Teen Titans and him blaming them for his demise is still part of this continuity. Jericho looks a little bit different, though. He gets a new costume and new kinds of powers. And speaking of powers, Deathstroke, he does have extra agility, super intelligence, super strength. There's a suit that he wears through this particular omnibus that he's able to fight Superman in. This is the story with the Creeper. And I believe this is the Dennis Cohen. Actually, let's look at this. Yeah, the story with the Creeper here. This one isn't, the layouts aren't done by Larry Hama, but it does have Dennis Cohen come back and Bill Sienkiewicz supplying the inks. But at one time there is, yeah, Dennis Cohen, Bill Sienkiewicz. Jeremy Cox does an amazing job, by the way, of coloring most of this omnibus. And what I was going to say is that there is a all four of these masters of this medium working together in some comics, and it's just crazy. Like, no offense to Jeremy Cox for supplying the colors, but I was just blown away by these masters all working together in a couple of issues. But it's mainly Larry Hama doing the breakdowns, and then Carlo Baculayan doing the finishes, the pencils. And the pencils are awesome. I really enjoy them. It reminds me a little bit of Ivan Reis. A lot of his artwork, even when it's other fill-in artists that are doing the stuff. There's a fill-in art in here by Ed Benes in one issue. Even his art has a little bit of Ivan Reis in it. And it's mainly due to both the colors and, of course, the inking. Now, there is a lot of pages in this omnibus. So how does it hold up? But before we talk about that, let's look at the extras in the back. So the extras in the back, and there aren't that many, but they're all back here because the variant covers are on the opposite side of the standard edition covers. But here's the connecting covers to Teen Titans, or Titans 11, Teen Titans number 8, Deathstroke number 19, and Teen Titans Lazarus Contract Special number 1. This is a variant right here by Steven Segovia, and then some character sketches all the way here in the back, and then a little bio on these wonderful people that put this. Jason Pass, that was the main inker. These people that put the book together. So one thing you probably notice is there are no page numbers. Not a big deal. The book is mapped wonderfully. I would have liked to have at least covers, like on numbers on the covers, to kind of let me know where I'm at. That would have been nice, or where the annual took place. But other than that, I think, you know, it's okay. I'm okay without page numbers, and I'm okay without issue numbers. I have a bookmarks for that. I don't have a near mint condition bookmark yet. All right. So as far as the binding, let's look at the paper quality here. It's this thick, glossy paper. It's a little thinner than something like Scott Snyder's Batman Omnibus, but not thin. Like, I'm not talking pages of Kurt Busiek Conan Omnibus. And as far as the eye, there is an eye. Honestly, that's a pretty damn big eye for a book this big. And you're gonna need it, because I'm sure you saw some spread pages in here. But the book lays over really well towards the beginning. And actually, I forgot to mention this. If you're a animal lover and you can't stomach animals being tortured or dying in comics or in any medium, that first issue is pretty rough then. I just kind of give you a heads up. I like to warn people ahead of time about these things. Here's what some of the spread pages look like towards the middle of the book. This is a funny story, and it's drawn by Tom Grumet, who did do work on, well, Deathstroke through the pages of Teen Titans, and how the book lays over towards the back. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely in an excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for your Minties. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you're picking this up, if you have the trade paperbacks, if this book is just way too big for you and you wish that they had split it in half and we would have gotten 2 omnis instead of 1 big one, and how you feel about Deathstroke, if you were a big fan of the Marv Wolfman run, if you just read him in the Teen Titans, or if you've never read any Deathstroke comic. I would love to know all those comments down below. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. We are on Patreon and on Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel. And more importantly, everyone, stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.